Okay. Back to here. Cool. So welcome. We're going to do a quick opening reflection. And I always get shaky in the voice when I do this, so bear with me. But if you could take a minute just to take a deep breath and kind of center yourself in this space today, we'll just kind of ground ourselves together. We come here today bringing our whole self. We carry with us our hopes, dreams, doubts, fears, and stresses. We offer prayers of thanksgiving and prayers in a time of need. If you woke up excited, refreshed, and ready for the day, you are welcome here. If you are tired, exhausted, distracted, and don't want to be here, you are welcome here. If you feel alone, an outsider, a stranger, you are welcome here. If you are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, agnostic, atheist, believer or non-believer, wanderer or wanderer, you are welcome here. If you worship every Sunday, or if you find peace on a mountain or strength in a quiet space, you are welcome here. If you grew up in a household where English was not spoken, or if English is your second, third, fourth, or first language, you are welcome here. If you have documentation, a visa, green card, papers, passport, birth certificate, or if you have no papers or documents, you are welcome here. If you have been diagnosed with a mental illness or have been affected by mental illness, you are welcome here. If you're filled with grief, you are welcome here. If you're struggling with addiction, you are welcome here. If you're transgender, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or straight, you are welcome here. If you are a majority or a minority, feel empowered or powerless, are marginalized or mainstreamed, you're welcome here. We bring our whole self here today. There is no need to check anything at the door or the screen. All that forms, informs, sustains, and dwells in you is welcome here. Whew. Okay, so during our short time together today, we're going to do some staff introductions so you know the larger CCE team. We'll go through some goals and initiatives that the CCE has as a broader organization. We'll look at our vision statement and then what it means to look at community engaged learning through a critical lens or approach. We'll touch on a few of our principles and practices that really guide our work. And then we'll talk about next steps and what the fall may or may not look like. So first we're going to start with staff introductions, and I believe Rihanna is the first one up.
Hi everyone, I'm Rihanna. I am the current AmeriCorps Vista for CCE, and that means I work with Stag Volunteer Corps and Logan House and the Summer Fellows.
Hi everyone, I am Phoebe Osterheis. I am the business manager for CCE. It's so lovely to see all your faces. I am lucky in my position because I get to work with most of the CCE programs.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly Ayers. I'm the director of the center. And again, I want to just say welcome. We're so excited to see your faces. We miss you all so much. So thanks for being here. I'm also going to introduce Mary Kelly, who isn't able to join us on the call today. She is our community engaged learning coordinator, and she helps support faculty and our student interns in all the curricular community engagement work. Thanks.
I can't actually see the list anymore, or the chat.
I think Kathy is up next.
Okay.
Sorry, that's. My name is Kathy Yao. I'm an AmeriCorps working with the elementary youth programs this year, and it's good to see everybody's faces.
Good morning. My name is Julia Larson. I am the program assistant. One of my responsibilities at CCE is supervising our student staff employees. And with their help, we support yourselves and the entire CCE team. And it is, again, lovely to see everyone.
Hello, I'm Hannah, and I'm a program manager. I've worked with ZVC and GUSR, and I've been debating whether to say this or not, but I'll go ahead. I'm actually coming to the end of my time at Gonzaga, and I shared that with ZVC and GUSR leaders this week. But it's wonderful to see all of your faces, and I'm excited to follow from afar as a neighbor and resident and friend what you all do in the coming year. I've taken a job at a credit union. I'm excited to be involved with community engagement from a different place starting in a couple of weeks, but wishing you all the very, very best, and I'm excited for all of you.
I hope I'm next. I'm like trying to do the list in my head. But hi everyone, my name is Gabby Fuller, and I'm also one of the AmeriCorps for elementary youth programs.
Hello, I am Emily Bannock. I am the Campus Kitchen Program Manager, and I am just happy to see all of your faces and happy you're all here. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Darcy Phillips. I am the Service Immersion Program Manager, so I get to work with RISE and Justice in January, Mission Impossible, the Family Teaching for Justice, and our summer program. Good to see all of you.
And I'm Brandy Prater-Marsters. I'm one of these programs managers working with Connections, Game, Eye to Eye, and Spark, so the secondary youth programs.
Okay, Bailey Wooten. I'm our Associate Director. I also work with our Wolf Fellows program. The list that has been referred to was our names reverse alphabetical. And if it's not clear, we never do reverse alphabetical in our department. And so we're trying today.
Is the list not showing? Is that what's happening? I can't see it.
Hi, my name is Austin Johnson. I'm a second-year AmeriCorps member here in CCE, which means that my time at Gonzaga and with CCE is coming to an end on June 15th. So I won't get to work with you all, but I'm excited to see what you all accomplish from afar, just like Hannah.
Is April with us today? Okay, maybe Anthony?
Thanks, Brandy. I'm Anthony Medina. I'm the Assistant Director for the Center for Community Engagement. And I get to oversee our community learning program and our marketing.
I think Abby's frozen. No?
Can I take a second and introduce April real quick?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, April Lopez, she is not here today. When this all began, April began doing service at Second Harvest Food Bank, which is supplying much needed food assistance to families during this crisis. So April is the Campus Kitchen AmeriCorps volunteer, so she will be here next year, but I just wanted to take a minute and tell you about the work that she's doing right now.
Thanks, Emily.
I think I might be next. I don't know though, so I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I am going to be in my second year next year with AmeriCorps. I work with the secondary programs at Gary.
And I am so glad that we went in reverse alphabetical order because I always have to go first until we hire someone named Aaron with 2 A's. My name is Abby Martin, and I manage the elementary youth programs. So that includes Campus Kids, ZAG Study Buddies, Smile, and Walking School Bus at Logan Elementary.
Thanks, y'all. Sorry that was clunky. I am seeing the private chats that the screen wasn't sharing. So I'll try that again. There should have been a PowerPoint. Can you see that? And if I put it in slideshow mode, okay. Now I can see your faces and the screen. That's helpful. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Molly sharing a little bit about the CCE from a broader level and kind of the initiatives that we're working on as a center with the university and community.
Hi, everyone. Again, it's welcome to the CCE Leader Training. I know some of you are joining us for a second, maybe third year, and some of you are kind of brand new to the work. And so we all just welcome you with open arms. We wish we could be here in person with you, but are just thankful that you're able to join us virtually. As Brandy said, you know, the Center for Community Engagement, we're a pretty big operation if you haven't figured that out as we like introduce staff and programs. I think right now we have 18 different programs that serve a whole variety of communities across Spokane and even with our service immersions across the nation. So we usually engage anywhere between, you know, about 2,500 students through our community engaged learning courses or the many different programs that we offer. And I think for Gonzaga, this is all about kind of who we are as a Jesuit institution and the critical importance of a Jesuit education being about forming people with and for others. And I think you all as leaders are the ones who model this for volunteers and students across campus. And so thank you again for kind of taking on this responsibility and kind of leading with a whole heart. One of the initiatives that we want to share with you that some of you may have heard about, but has really been in progress for a couple of years now, and builds on partnerships and the work that you all have been doing for 25 years. Gonzaga just launched an initiative called Opportunity Northeast, which is what's called a place-based initiative. And it really leans into this value that we hold around place and the importance of being connected with our neighbors, connected with the organizations, the schools, the partners in Northeast Spokane. And so we've got a quick little video that kind of tells a little bit of the story of the work from our community partners and some of our students. And then I'll share just a little bit more about what we're focusing on moving forward.
Probably have to unmute myself so you can hear it. You hear it okay?
There have been a lot of initiatives that have been brought into the neighborhood. A lot of people have been here many years. They've seen these come and go. They've seen starts and stops and starts and stops. And so I think the fact that Gonzaga is really looking at this as a long-term, I guess, part of their culture is really important. It's going to be important for the neighborhoods and the individuals to understand that this is not a one-time commitment, that this is something that we're looking at ongoing to really move the needle.
When I first moved here, I didn't realize the outreach that Gonzaga had.
Sorry. It's not sharing, is it? Was the screen sharing?
The screen wasn't, but the sound was. So I'm okay if we want to just like listen to. I think that works.
Now it looks like it's showing, Brandy.
Okay, maybe keep it small. Maybe will that work?
And I was really happy to see that they're being involved with the community. I just see a great amount of caring from you and from the rest of the Gonzaga people. They definitely are making a difference in these kids' lives.
So we've had, historically have been involved and engaged in Northeast Spokane for about 25 years. It started with a partnership with Logan Elementary School and our Campus Kids program. It's the very first site where we matched 20 Gonzaga students with 20 youth from Logan Elementary School. And those programs have expanded to over 400 Gonzaga students, working with about 600 Spokane Public School youth, primarily in the neighborhoods of Northeast Spokane.
CU's really wrapped their arms around us. We have something called ZAG Study Buddies. We have campus, mentorships, as well as this new ELL program that, as well as ZAG Dance, and that's the study buddies and those programs have been going upwards of 20 years here.
The impact is huge. The impact is huge because also my students feel that they belong and they are part of. And they are always enthusiastically looking forward to seeing them. They get super excited. They show a lot of affection and incredible gratitude. They feel important and worth.
In the community, there's just so many assets and so many connections, and you can truly see the love and care that they have for their community. And they have taught me a lot about how to care for others, or how to just take the time to listen to one another and show an act of kindness. Even though with all the struggles and challenges these students might be facing, they still carry that kindness with everybody that they interact with.
And I feel that Gonzaga in this aspect has really walked the mission, the initial mission of serving others who are in great need.
As so many students tell us today, they learn more while they are applying what they learn in a classroom. The work and engagement with the neighbors expands, I think, the knowledge base for students, and it asks that they consider this part of their development and passion for lifelong learning.
My hope has always been that this community sees Gonzaga as a university that deeply understands that it exists in relationship with this community, with the city, with our region, that we're not isolated, that we don't see ourselves as separate, but that in fact our success is largely dependent upon the fact that we exist in relationship with our community.
See if this works. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah, yes, that goes back. So I think in that video, a lot of, what you hear are some of our community partner voices. I think one of the parents of a youth is it at the Sparks for a Shaw program, one of the Connections parents?
Shaw, Gaming Connections.
So you can hear them kind of speak to the goal and the hope of this work. Again, we've been involved and invested in Northeast Spokane for a long time, but what we're looking at is a university-wide approach to engagement. So our programs will support the work, but we're also looking for new courses that can connect and support community partners and resident interests in the neighborhood. We're also looking at ways to involve staff and departments across campus to really all wrap their arms around these neighborhoods and to really see and live into that idea of mutuality and reciprocity and partnership. Brandy, if you want to go to the next slide. This is the vision for the work, is that together with our Northeast neighbors, that we'll work to foster a thriving community for all those who live, learn, and work in Northeast Spokane. And this idea of working together, of mutuality and reciprocity, is key to the work. We want the community to drive what this looks like. And our hope for our internal campus community is that we continue to provide students with opportunities to to learn how to be and engage in community in deep and meaningful ways. So there are 3 focus areas of the initiative. And these were derived, we did a listening project, and some of you may have even been involved in it last year. We did a listening project with about 100 residents and community leaders and service providers to find out what the biggest priorities were in the neighborhood and how they wanted Gonzaga to show up. And then we looked internally at what our strengths are as an institution, and these 3 areas emerged. The first is around whole health, or social determinants of health. So looking at things like healthcare access and wellness programs, but also access to healthy food and to quality, affordable housing. And so you'll know, like, programs like the campus kitchens, some of the work that Austin and April have been doing, kind of supporting COVID response around food insecurity, are part of this. Also events like our Logan cleanup and our Logan block party, where we bring community together and build connections, is key to building a whole, healthy, and thriving community. The second focus area is around educational opportunity, which makes a lot of sense, especially for those of you that have been involved in our youth programs. We really want to build a pipeline of support that starts, with young kiddos, in early elementary, and provides support all the way up through high school and into, technical school, 2-year, 4-year, helping students in these neighborhoods, in our neighborhood, kind of find access to educational opportunities that they want. And then we also are working on looking at adult educational opportunities that help with financial security and job readiness preparation. And then finally, the third, which is kind of really about us as an institution, is how are we engaging our students, staff, and faculty in deep and meaningful work connected to the initiative. So we're excited to have you all kind of be a part of this. The one other thing I want to note is we have, students, again, who are working in the schools or working with campus kitchens, but we also have folks who are leading our immersion programs. And our hope, as always, is how do we bring these back home to our Gonzaga community and to our Northeast community. So the lessons that we learn, bringing those back home to our place. Thanks.
Thanks, Molly. Anthony's going to share a little bit about, again, the CCE vision, and then what it means to do this work with a critical lens. Go ahead, Anthony.
Thank you, Brandy. You can go to the next slide if you'd like. Thank you, Molly, for queuing that up as well. And like Molly was saying about the place-based initiative, and how I think of the place-based work is really an extension of our mission as a center and Gonzaga's mission as a university to be engaged and committed to our communities. And so no matter what work you're a part of, it has a place within the place-based initiative. And we are bound by our center's mission and vision. And so I wanted to share with you our vision statement today, kind of go through that a little bit, and then talk about critical service learning, which is a concept that I just want you to be aware of. We'll get into it more, I think, as next year begins, but because I'm a broken record and I love talking about it, but I would love to introduce it to you today. And so we'll start with our vision statement. And our vision statement reads, we believe that every person has infinite worth, and together we can create a more just and equitable world. You see it there in its stylized form. Maybe you've seen it on our stickers. Maybe you've seen it on our water bottles. And it's a really beautiful statement, right? It's a really beautiful statement. But like any one sentence statement, it's easy for us to take it for granted. It's easy for us to hear it and to read it and to go on with our day like it's any other statement. Maybe it's a nice bumper sticker. Maybe it's quaint. But the vision statement that we put forward is powerful. It's more than just the words that you're reading. It's about what those words call us to. And for me, our vision statement is calling us to a revolution of ourselves, our hearts, and our minds. transformation of ourselves, our hearts and our minds, as well as a revolution of our institutions and our systems. A quote from Father Greg Boyle in his incredible book, Tattoos in the Heart, gets at this vision statement for me. So he writes, soon we imagine with God this circle of compassion. And then we imagine no one standing outside that circle, moving ourselves closer to the margins so that the margins themselves will be erased. We stand there with those whose dignity has been denied. We locate ourselves with those who are poor and powerless, perhaps voiceless. At the edges, we join with the easily despised and the readily left out. We stand with the demonized so the demonizing will stop. We situate ourselves right next to the disposable so the day will come when we stop throwing people away. And so our vision statement starts with that we believe every person has infinite worth. Infinite worth is speaking to this quote that Greg Boyle talks about, that no one is disposable, that everyone we encounter, all the people that we meet in our service sites, all the people that we meet as volunteers, all of our peers, all of our faculty, all of our staff, every person that we encounter has infinite worth. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, that's what we're saying we believe in as an office, that every person is inherently valuable. Not because of what they do or what they say or how they act, but just by the fact that they are, right? And so that's really powerful. That's revolutionary. It's different than what we hear otherwise. The second part of our mission statement gets to together we can create a more just and equitable world. So the next word I want you to focus on is that together part, right? Our vision does not happen in isolation. We work with others. We talk about the Jesuit ethos of, people for and with others. The for is great, but the with is vital. The with is how we do the work. So together is how we do this work, alongside our community partners, alongside our nonprofit partners, alongside our neighbors, alongside our youth, alongside our peers and our volunteers, and everyone at the university. It's a together thing. Can't be an I thing, right? And then finally, we can create a more just and equitable world. And so this is the aspirational part of our vision. A vision is always on the horizon, right? If a vision statement is met, you need a new vision statement. Our vision statement is that we're looking to create a more just and equitable world. That vision is ahead of us. It's on the horizon. And if we keep that central to who we are and the work that we're doing, we'll keep people and our relationships to each other and to the world at the heart of our work. If we don't lose sight of that, we can see ourselves as part of a bigger mission. So to me, this vision statement binds us all. So whether you are a mentor for one of our youth programs, or leading a service immersion in the South Side of Chicago, or connecting with students down at the border, or working in one of our shelters in Spokane. No matter what work you are doing, it's part of this larger vision, this aspirational world that we hope for, that we want to see come to fruition, and that if we work together, we're able to see. And this is the kind of revolution that I'm hopeful we are a part of. It's not perfect, it's messy, but this vision statement captures, I think, what we aspire to be, right? A world where everyone is valued inherently for their infinite worth, where we put people first, where we work together, and where we aspire for justice and equity. Those are things that we believe in, and that's where we choose to stand. So we hope that you enjoy this vision statement, but more than enjoy it, that you aspire to live into it as well. Not all at once, but over time. Thanks, Brandy. Go to the next piece. Wonderful. So if our vision statement is what grounds us and what holds us together, what binds us, and is maybe the orientation of our hearts and our minds to go out into this work, critical service learning is how I think maybe the how is explained, right? Critical service learning gives us a sense of how we do things. But right now you're seeing on the screen traditional service learning because there's this wonderful paper that one of my favorite people in the world, Tania Mitchell, put out about 12 years ago now, called Traditional versus Critical Service Learning. So before we get into the critical service learning, I want to explain to you what traditional forms of service learning look like. And for the sake of our conversation, all of our work is service learning. I know that people think of service learning or community engaged learning as what happens in a classroom, connect to a classroom. That's true, and it's broader than that. The work that you are all part of as leaders is going to be service learning. Students are going to come in and they're going to experience what activities and work that you all are helping put on and help provide and help frame for them, and they're going to learn something from that. You've all probably learned something from that, and that's why you're here doing this as leader. But there are ways of doing this work that I think traditionally have happened that are maybe a little antiquated, and ways to do this work in critical ways. I want you to think about traditional service learning and critical service learning as poles. So they're not either or. This isn't either or work. But these are poles. These are polarities, right? You can go on a spectrum from traditional service learning to more critical service learning. Let me explain. So when we think about traditional service learning, you see this little chart here. It's all gray and a little drab. And in the middle, what is centered is learning to serve and serving to learn, right? So in that middle box, our students' experience at the university is central. This is how we have traditionally seen this kind of work, where in the middle is our students' learning, our student experience, our students' development. Now, we work at a university, so of course those things are really important, but they don't say the whole picture. They don't paint the whole picture. We're the center for community engagement. Where's the community in the middle of that, right? Where, if we're learning to serve and serving to learn, where's the community voice in what we're doing? It doesn't seem to be there in the same way. And then our little model here has us going out into the community, reflecting, coming back to our classrooms or to our reflection groups or to our small groups, reflecting some more, going back into the community. And this relationship goes on and on and on so that you're constantly building your learning and your experience. Again, the community isn't really represented here. Traditional service learning also does not acknowledge power differences, which we'll get into in a second. And it always talks about this need for authentic relationships, but doesn't always show what that means. How does that look, right? How is that complicated? Thanks, Brandy. Let's go to the next piece. Yep, here we go. Okay, wonderful. So now you see this really colorful, beautiful slide. And I designed this way so that we can emphasize that I think critical service learning is one way we can think about moving us forward. And so the work to realize critical service learning demands that we center social change orientations, work to redistribute power, and developing authentic relationships. So we recognize that student development, student learning is really important, but now we are centering these three things: social change orientation, working to redistribute power, and developing authentic relationships. And these three headers really encompass the relationship between our students and our community, so that they're both weighed a little more evenly in our model and how we're thinking about our work. We often talk about our work as transformative, but who is it transformative for? Is it just transformative for us as leaders and our volunteers, or is it really transformative for the community? I think we all have had an experience where we've seen transformation in ourselves and in our community. But if we're not explicitly trying to balance those things, we're gonna miss something. So Brandy, we'll go to the next slide. And I'll take you through each of these pieces really, really briefly, really briefly. We can go into this more in depth. If you ever want to stop by my office when we're back in the fall and just talk to me about this, I love it. I nerd out about it. So please come say hello and we'll talk about it. Great, wonderful. So what do we mean by these three things? For social change orientation, we often think about community change, student development and community change as mutually exclusive, that when one's happening, the other can't happen. But in this model, social change orientation focuses on both. So student development and transformation is important, but the way we orient our programs and our work is towards social change. It has to be explicit. While individual change and student development are really wonderful things, critical service learning balances student outcomes with an emphasis on social change. What does this look like? What does this look like? Rarely do volunteers in our programs consider whether some injustice has created the need for the service in the first place, right? And I know a lot of you as leaders may, or as incoming leaders, may have thought about these things a little bit. But to our average volunteer, to average person engaging in this work, that isn't always made explicit, right? Sometimes people enter this work to do good, to feel good about what they're themselves, because they want to make an impact. Again, still very self-centered, student-centered, ego-centric. But when we're talking about this work, we have to make it explicit why there's a need for the service in the first place. What circumstances has caused us to be in this position right now? So without drawing attention to root causes of social justice, social problems, social issues, without involving students in actions and initiatives that address those root causes, that reflect on those root causes, we risk having no impact beyond students feeling good or feeling like they learned something meaningful, but the community doesn't get what it's looking for out of it or what we hope to create together, right? So the social change orientation really centers and balances our community and our work as students and what we want for ourselves and for our volunteers, right? So keeping that in mind, one way you do that is by asking big questions, asking big questions that make explicit the root causes of what's going on in your programs. The second is working to redistribute power. So if the social change orientation is talking about how we orient ourselves to the work, working to redistribute power talks a little bit about the how. So what we focus on is important, what we do is important, but how we do it is equally as important, right? And when we talk about power, we have to be explicit about how power is manifesting in our work. No matter what privileges you hold, what identities you hold, there exists a power dynamic between college students and our larger community, right? Privileges of class, of race, of economic privilege, educational privilege, all of these things may exist between you and your volunteers, between you and the people you're working with. And so how do we understand those things? How do we name what power dynamics are at play? How do we challenge those power dynamics and work truly collaboratively with our youth, with our nonprofit partners, with our folks experiencing homelessness on the street? How do you work with them in ways that reorganize that power structure? And not centering ourselves as students and as learners, but really trying to level that playing field with some humility. This is vital. This is vital to how we do the work. And if we're not going to acknowledge those power differences, then I think our learning can be kind of shallow. It can stay in the shallow end, right? Finally, developing authentic relationships. And so I think a lot of us come to this work because we had some great experience with somebody we worked with a service experience, with our peers, with a youth that you've connected with through a CEL class or however you got here. But when we talk about developing authentic relationships, we're not just talking about the positive, positive, wonderful things about those relationships. those are great things, right? But we're talking about the complexity of relationships. Traditional service learning can lead us to seek relationships and experiences with people as we expect to find them, with all of our assumptions and our ideas about what they should be. But critical service learning asks us to put down those assumptions, to be open to developing complicated relationships, not just based on how we are similar or how we are different, but on how all of those things come together, right? So a common thing for our volunteers maybe to reflect on sometimes is how blessed they are. And they come out of an experience and they realize how blessed they are because their life is so different than the people they're serving. That's one way. Another way is that that's too uncomfortable to deal with, so people reflect, oh, we're so similar. We're all human. We're all the same. Really, we're all human, right? Neither of those reflections get at the complexity of these relationships. And so for us as leaders, for us as folks who help put on these experiences, how do we allow our volunteers, how do we allow our people that we're working with in our community to develop these authentic relationships, to carry and hold the things that make us different and the things that make us similar, and put those together so that we're working towards solidarity and not charity, right? So yeah, these are some components I just wanted to share with you. It's a lot of information, and I did it in a really brief time, but I do think it's important just to get a taste for what we are thinking about when we're talking about our work. And again, this isn't an either or. And as new leaders, I don't want this to intimidate you. We don't expect you all to be at the far end of the critical service learning pool tomorrow. But we do hold this as an aspiration, as a guiding light, as a principle to move toward, right? How do we get our work, our programs, our experiences toward this deeper engagement? And that's what we're hoping you all will bring next year with all your talent, your experience, all the things that you are. So we're excited to have you all, and thank you for letting me talk at you for 10 minutes.
Thanks, Anthony. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit to our principles and practices. Well, actually, it's a really great segue, I think. And Andrea is gonna share a few of her reflections on preparation and solidarity, which are two of those principles and practices that guide our work.
Thanks, Brandy. So as Brandy said, I'm going to be mainly focusing today on the practice of preparation and the principle of solidarity. So this is kind of what I've been thinking about. Preparation in its rudimentary sense means having all your materials ready and preparing for your program wherever that may be. It means getting your supplies, understanding your goal, what your outcome will be. However, in a deeper context, preparation calls us to understand both ourselves and the areas that we're serving in. This means that it's important to explore our own positionality and check our privileges and our understanding of how our lived experience create and shape our understanding of community. Preparation means a commitment to learning about social and political and economic social issues that impact our community that we're serving in. It also looks really different because we're in a pandemic. Preparation looks different. You can't gather your supplies. You can't make a detailed plan because everyday service looks different. It's changing. None of us obviously expected to be having this meeting over Zoom, but here we are. And when preparation looks different, it's because we're being called to be in solidarity. We are called to walk alongside one another and be there for others. This means in this time, it is time to lean in and on one another. It's time to learn from one another. No one has been through a situation like this before, so we are called to be there for one another in an uncertain time. The best thing you can do is reach out to those around you because we all need support right now, and we can all offer support just through accompanying one another. Through this, we can move beyond compassion and into a deep commitment to one another and to our community. Through solidarity, I think this is how we'll find what preparation should look like now. Preparation isn't planning for the daily activities since we're all separated. Preparation looks like learning the real social impacts that COVID is having in our community. There are families that are grieving. We are losing people that matter to us. This may be affecting you. We are in a time where the need for basic supplies and food has never been higher. This is a time where we can critically think not only about how to meet that need, but why those needs exist. This is a time to learn about the social constructs that have created economic inequality in different communities. This is also a time to reflect thoughtfully about why some communities are most impacted. In this time, we can gain context, but most importantly, we can build community, connect in solidarity, and work together to try and create a more just and equitable world. While you may have not been preparing to currently serve in this way, and we haven't been here before, we are called to prepare and work alongside each other for the common good, however that looks today. Thank you for committing to doing this work, and thank you for being yourselves.
Thanks, Andrea. I think that goes right into kind of what is fall gonna look like for us. We don't really know, right? We're planning to have things as normal. So you'll see dates on the screen for RISE Training Week, for the Community of Leaders for fall, and then the CCE Student Leader Training Week for folks who aren't part of RISE and the pre-orientation program. And so right now our plans are really contingent upon the state, the governor's decisions, and then also the universities. But we want you to know that we are planning as normal, like we would see you all in August. If that were the case for folks who are not part of RISE, that would be an August 22nd return date. But we will be in touch over the course of the summer via email with any updates that are coming. Please reach out to your program managers or AmeriCorps folks if you have questions that do come up. But mostly today we wanted to welcome you to being a CCE student leader. We're excited to work with y'all next year. However that looks or whatever that means, it'll change between now and then, I'm sure. But also wanted you to see that you are part of a larger kind of initiative, larger goals and objectives that are happening throughout the community and throughout the university. So now I think we'll just say good luck on finals. Take care of yourself and your loved ones and stay healthy, and we'll see you in some way in the fall. So have a great day, and thank you for spending time with us today.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Guys.
So great to see everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Brandy, I have the option to end meeting for all. Are we okay, or do we need to stop the recording? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Did I do it? I started it, right? Okay.